This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm delighted to be joined by Adam Smith for the second day of the balance. Adam, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. I'm actually really good. I'll tell you why, Andy, because my scholar from Sky, on this great Sky scholarship scheme we have, who's a tennis player, he's called Daniel Altmaier, he's just made it through to the fourth round of the French Open. This is his debut Grand Slam. He won through qualifiers and he's just knocked out the number 7 seed Berrettini in straight sets. So I'm very, very happy, very proud of him. So that's my other hat. Obviously, we've got the boxing one on. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I'm in a good place. I'm so proud of him. He's 22 and he's having the time of his life out in Paris. I wish I could be there.
Well, good luck to him for obviously the rest of his tournament. But as you mentioned, we're here for the boxing. Let's start off with, we're here for the weigh-in today. Araujo missing weight by quite some distance. Just what do you make of that?
Yeah, well, we knew that she was heavy. She had a check weight, and the board decided earlier in the week, I think, that she wasn't going to comfortably make the super lightweight limits. So they made a decision that obviously she wouldn't be able to fight for the world title. So it's disappointing, obviously, and as Chantelle said, it's not very professional, but you know, it is what it is. She's come in very heavy at 10.5, over 10.5, and Chantelle's light at 9.11. So there's a big difference there. Chantelle Cameron, of course, will win the world title if she ends with victory tomorrow. But Araujo won't. She'll just get the victory. Now, you know, there's a lot of ways of looking at it. I just spoke to Chantelle. I said, "Do you worry about the weight difference?" And she said, "Look, I've been sparring with you know, a lot heavier opponents, so I'm not worried about that." But it is an issue because, you know, she's the pit bull from Brazil. We know her style. She's very aggressive, so she carry a lot of physical advantages, but she probably will be a lot slower as well. So I think Chantelle's got to be just tactically astute on the night. It's a shame that both women can't win the world title, but that's the way it goes. You know, we don't know where, you know, how the training's gone. We don't know what the reasons are. Maybe the travel over might have been all of that. But what we do know is that there is a world championship fight, but only Chantelle Cameron can win that. So it's still the same for her. For Araujo, it's up to her to get the victory and try and get her own career back on track.
Nobody will know what's going through Chantelle's mind except for herself, but will that be something that she will be considering when she's in the ring, the weight difference?
You know, I didn't know Chantelle Cameron much before this week, but obviously we spent a lot of time together in the bubble, and you know, Jamie Moore's with her, and you know, she's a pretty resilient character. You know, she's gone through her ups and downs in life in boxing, and I don't think this will worry her one little bit. I think that what Jamie has got to make sure he tells her is not to get involved, and because I think I've seen Chantelle, you know, she's very talented, but she loves a fight too, and you know, that's what you know, all the fans want to see, the excitement. But I think on this occasion she's got to really use her boxing brain. But I'm sure, listen, she's with an excellent trainer in Jamie, alongside Nigel Travis, and you know, she's with Shane McGuigan, who's another brilliant trainer beforehand. So she's had the best, and I expect her to get through tomorrow night if she can box her way. But it will be tough. It will be really hard against Araujo, especially at this weight.
Away from Chantelle, there will be a lot of eyes on Joshua Buatsi, especially amongst the domestic light heavyweights that we have over in the UK. Is there a pressure on Josh to return in kind of a fashion which will make a statement because of his likes of Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur, amongst others? They've all been successful since they've returned to the ring not after the pandemic, but since boxing's returned. Is there a pressure on Joshua to perform and to kind of make his own statement? I
think there is a pressure on him, and I think he laps that up. He's got those big, broad shoulders, and he's pretty cool and calm, isn't he? Joshua Buatsi. You mentioned a lot of eyes on him. We're hoping many eyeballs, because we're going to come off the Liverpool-Aston Villa game on Sunday night, which is obviously a big game, and hopefully all the football fans will stay on and watch both Chantelle and Joshua, because you know, that's what we need. We need boxing really to have that sort of audience, and you know, we all love it. We all love every trade fight, don't we? You know, whether it's Aqib Fiaz and Kane Baker, or it's the English middleweight title on the bill. It's some great stuff, but really for the big names and for the casual fans, you know, we need them to see, you know, fighters like Buatsi. And you know, Buatsi, I think, is a special fighter. I've been extremely impressed with his attitude from the word go. We all know his talent. The big question is that, you know, he's been out a long time. He needs to get momentum. He needs to get performances back in a ring now. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I do think he needs to, you know, show the world what he's all about, remind us what he's all about, and you don't want to be forgotten. You know, boxing moves very quickly, doesn't it? But Marco Chalic is a good opponent. You know, Buatsi will be expected to come through him, but Chalic is unbeaten, not fought at the level of Buatsi, but he was a good amateur, he's tall, he's got a real opportunity, a golden opportunity for his own career. So, Buatsi needs to be careful, and he says there won't be any ring rust at all. He says if we razor sharp, we'll see Sunday.
There's a lot of talk, obviously, about the potential Anthony Yarde fight. Callum Johnson's name's being thrown out there as well. Anthony Yarde fight seems to be a bit more difficult because of the cross-promotional stance. But Callum Johnson, is that a name which certainly we could see him with Joshua, if not maybe at the end of this year, certainly early next year at all?
I really like Callum Johnson. I was out when he floored Beterbiev and in America, and I've watched his career with interest. We've had a lot of his fights on Sky, and he's a bit of the forgotten one, isn't he? Because of the big domestic rivalry down here in London with or down south with Yarde and with Buatsi. But you can't forget Callum Johnson. He's quality. There's a bit of a triumvirate there. You'd love to see them all fight each other, and I think that will happen. I think when crowds come back and into next year, into 2021, and as Frank Smith told me, the Frank Warren Eddie Hearn meeting has had to be delayed because of course Eddie is isolating at home. So when that finally happens, I'm sure that'll be top of the agenda, because I for one would absolutely love to see Buatsi and Yarde, and I know I'm not alone there.
Moving on to the rest of his card, obviously Baker Fiaz, given what happened previously with Akib having to pull out through illness, do you feel like there's going to be that extra needle in there between the pair of them tomorrow? Beforehand, you might have expected to see a bit more of like a boxing performance from Akib, but because of what has been said between the pair of them in the build-up, there might be a bit more needle. There might be more times where they do stand and trade a little bit more. Andy,
we did a small head-to-head feature with the two of them yesterday, and it was all very nice at the beginning, and Akib was sitting there with his Formula One sponsors on, the Matchroom promoted, and there was Kane with his just a Matchroom t-shirt on, and you can see the difference of sort of how they've got to where they've got to, and it was all very pleasant until Kane started to sort of wind him up about the weight and about whether he'd make it, and then you saw a reaction from Akib. I think, look, Akib should come through this on his talent, and the big question mark is over 8 rounds, or whether Kane Baker's sort of intensity and his willpower will just sort of get him through that and make things uncomfortable. I think I expect this to go long. I expect Fiaz to win rounds because he's got the talent, but I think it could get tough down the stretch, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good fight, and I think both of them will come out of it and have a huge amount of respect for each other, which maybe they don't have at the moment quite so much.
The return of the Savage as well. We saw at the end of their weigh-in, Noel Kennedy went to give him a little fist bump, and there was none of that from Alan Savage. No, Alan the Savage Babbage rather. There was none of that. Going into that fight, what do you expect to see from Alan? Is it just simply more of the same?
He walked over to our interview position afterwards and said, "The Savage, it's now the Savage." Okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy, because he really got on with Niall. Actually, they were having a good chat. We were talking about sort of Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank and some of the heroes really yesterday, and everyone was being very friendly. And Alan was like, "It's going to be hard to hurt this guy, But I think the alter ego has taken over, and Alan Babbage is now the Savage. So I expect the Savage in the ring tomorrow night. And we all know what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and take the fight straight to Kennedy. He's going to try and get rid of him in the first round, second round. Kennedy's got to try and weather the storm. He's, he's decent. This is a good chance for him. He's had a bit of experience over, obviously, on the other side of the pond in Boston. He's got a couple of minor titles to his name. He's got a good trainer in Pascal Collins, and he's got a good attitude. He knows what he's got in front of him, and he knows what an opportunity this is. And a bit like Chalic, I think, with Kennedy, neither of them might win, but I think they'll give it everything, and I think that's what will produce some really exciting action tomorrow night.
And Linus Udofia versus John Harding Jr. Again, another tasty matchup there. We've seen them throughout the week kind of have little nibbles at each other, certainly from John Harding's point of view with the press conference yesterday. In John's case, is this kind of last chance saloon for him? Obviously, has had a fight since the defeat to Jack Cullen, but is this very much...
It's difficult to say last chance saloon for a guy who's been through what John Harding's been through. I mean, first of all, and they have been getting at each other a little bit, but Linus was full of respect for where John's come in his life. Let's not forget that this is a guy that's been in prison for many years. This is a guy that has changed his whole life around through boxing, and it's a real success story for our sport. He bumped into Dillian White. He's got the determination, the dedication. He's got 8 victories, I think, in 10. It's a great story, whatever happens. This is all a bonus for him. So I think is this a last chance at a title? I don't know. He's older, obviously, and he looks in terrific shape still, and he's got a spring to his step because of being around Team White in Portugal. But it is tough, and will it be about levels? Will Odofin just be a little bit too good for him? I don't know. Linus has got ambitions beyond this level, and I think this is probably John would just like to win an English title, maybe even fight for a British title. That's probably what that's amazing from where he's come from. So I just think it's a really interesting match. There's a bit of needle. They're both in great condition, and you probably expect the champion to come through it, but I think it's going to be a very good fight. It could be one of the best of the night. So yeah, looking forward to that one. There's a lot of pride at stake there. They're two very proud men, and I think we're going to get a good battle.
Just away from this card, Adam, there's just a few things I just want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, we've seen Lomachenko-Lopez announced. As of yet, we haven't seen kind of a UK broadcaster pick it up. Why have you guys at Sky decided against? Because certainly over social media, a lot of people questioning why we haven't seen anybody pick it up yet.
I totally understand that. And look, we're not against anything, Andy, as you and I know. We've got a business to run at Sky, and the important thing is that we've got sport back on our screens. We didn't have sport for many months. We're all waiting for the Premier League to come back. We talked about boxing being difficult to come back because of the medical support you need at ringside. So, the most important thing is that we're getting things back to some sort of normality on our TV schedules, where it hasn't been for so long, and we don't know what's going to lie ahead as well. We know there's no crowds for a long time. So, we made a decision to sort of concentrate on what we've got. We've got a big contract with Matchroom. That's what's, the most important thing. We've got, Sky Sports box office events coming. We've got a great calendar to the end of the year. Of course, we're going to look at other things. We managed to get the World Boxing Super Series in. We've got the Golden Contract the other night, and we've got the other final to come as well. So there are things, other than just what Matchroom provide, but it really is they're our partners, and it's a relationship that we talk about the whole schedule with them and work out what we think's best. Now, would I like to get my hands on Gervonta Davis against Leo Santa Cruz? Would I have liked to have done the Charlo brothers the other night? Would I like Loma and Lopez? It's a silly question. Of course I would. As a fight fan and as part of the boxing team, we all want these fights, but I always say this, we can't have every sweet in the jar, and ultimately, it is a business, and we're not in a position at the moment to just go and get everything, because, we've got a packed schedule with backlog sports, and obviously there's huge financial implications about what's happened this year. So, it would be great if they threw all the fights our way and we didn't. But they've got a business as well, whether it's Top Rank, PBC, whoever out there. They've got a business to get the most money they can in international rights. And, we wish them well. We look at everything. And I'd love to do these fights. But at the moment, we're concentrating on what's happening on UK soil. It's great that we've got boxing back. Even we saw Eddie testing positive this week. We don't know. Had Jazza Dickens the other day. There's lots of things that are being thrown at us at the moment. We've just got to concentrate on what we have, which is our contract with Matchroom. That's important. And of course, we're going to get back and bring international fights when we can, when the time's right. And it's not, there's no closed door here. I mean, I spoke to Todd DeBerth the other day. I spoke to Araceli Villas of BBC. I'm saying to them, let's keep the door open. Let's keep talking. We want those fights. We've shown on Sky over the years how much we love international boxing. Last year doing Errol Spence and Sean Paul to Deontay Wilder, of course. We do what we can, and we'd love to give the fans absolutely everything on Sky. But sometimes you've got to make decisions. At the moment, the priority is getting these Matchroom shows done and getting them safely, get everything safely, across the line. It's a difficult period that the world's going through at the moment. We also can't get to America. We can't get to do Loma and Lopez at ringside, and that's part of our production as well. So for a number of reasons, there's a heavy schedule of other sports. There's so much going on with Matchroom and us anyway with the boxing that we've just got to look at each individual case and see what we can do with it. So I never say never, but I want to deliver as much as we can for Sky, for the boxing fans. But at the same time, I think we've got a terrific schedule coming up with Buatsi, then with Ritson, then with Usyk Chisora, then looking at big fights in November. We know that Povetkin White rematch is happening. Anthony Joshua, I spoke to him in the camp yesterday. They're so excited about coming back in December. There's a lot to look forward to, Andy. And of course, I will be watching all these fights like you will. And I'm hoping that I can watch it somewhere.
Just to touch on the kind of blend it in with all of that then. No the Matchroom USA shows which have been announced, no UK television once again. Any reason in particular about those, or is it just simply what you've just told me there?
Yeah, again, what we've just said, and also you've got to think that these shows are happening at sort of 3, 4 in the morning, and we've got to look at whether we think that's right, because if it's a massive night, we all know the big fights at that sort of time really generate a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs. Everyone wants to stay up through the night. But we want to deliver these fights. As I said, we would do everything if we could, but we've got to we've got to make sure that we're doing the right things as well. And we work alongside the football, the cricket, the golf, the Formula One, all the other sports. Huge amounts of sport happening on Sky at the minute, and a lot of it, as I said, backlogged from. It's a jam, isn't there? We started this interview talking about the French Open, and that was put back from June to September. Everything's sort of being shoehorned into the end of 2020. So there's not a lot of room scheduling wise as well. So we look at that too, and look, I think if there's a British fighter involved in overseas, then we're obviously going to look at that. More than maybe any of the others. But yeah, of course, we'd love to do more Devon Haney and Danny Jacobs. But there is finances involved, and there's a big backlog of scheduling that we need to get before Christmas. So at the moment, we're just concentrating on what we've got here, and we've got to do those the best we can. And I think there's some quality fights happening. Fight Camp was a huge success, and we need to build in the UK from there.
What do you make of the online streaming services such as Fite TV, which pick up certain fights and obviously charge for UK fans to be able to watch them? What do you make of them? Do you see them as competitors in the market now?
Well, listen, we embrace every competition in the market. We've done that for years at Sky. Let's not forget, Andy. I've been here a long time. 26 years at Sky, and we've been in boxing every single year of those 26 years. We haven't sort of come in and out. We've shown a lot of UK boxing, a lot of international boxing, and worked with a lot of different people, virtually every promoter in the world. Now we've got to deal with Eddie Hearn, with Matchroom. We've had a wonderful relationship and partnership for many years. It's not just the boxing; it goes into the darts and into all the other sports that Matchroom deliver to. So yeah, I mean, we've seen that. We've seen Setanta, we've seen ITV Digital, we've seen obviously BT are doing fantastically well with the boxing and Frank over there. And, I watch them all the time. And, I can't wait for Dubois and Joyce. And I can't wait to watch Yard and I watch Frampton and Josh Taylor. And it's terrific that we've got that competition. So yeah, look, I don't know much about them. I think they did the world feed for the KSI Logan Paul fight, and they brought a few other things to UK viewers. So look, if they're giving options, they're giving possibilities for fans to watch fights, then that's great. If the main networks can't pick them up for whatever reason, then it's good that there are others that are. And if they charge, that's their decision, that's their business model. But it's good that there is that availability. We want that availability when you can't get hold of a fight. It's so difficult. I mean, the other night when we had the World Boxing Super Series, I think I had 3 devices on. I was trying to keep up with Jose Burton out in Riga, and then there was Josh Taylor, little Charlie Edwards was up at bantamweight. You want to see everything, and that's not just with my business hat on. That's as a fight fan. You just want to watch it, don't you? So the fact that you can watch it, I think, is a good thing. I just wish they were on Sky, obviously.
Final question, Adam. I remember kind of towards the beginning of lockdown when we did an interview over Zoom, I asked you where kind of things stood with Sky's deal with Matchroom, because I knew it was coming towards the final stages of that. Now that boxing's returned, when can you expect to kind of begin to negotiate new terms, or is it still very much up in the air?
Well, Eddie and I talk every day, as you know. We swap messages every morning, and I'm delighted to say that he's not feeling as bad as he did today. But he is, living in a room in his house, and he'll probably be going up the walls, I should think, by Sunday night. But we'll see. He's got to isolate. He's got to do what's right. And look, I would love to carry on working with Eddie, and it's great what Matchroom have delivered for many years. I believe that with Barney Francis as the former MD of Sky Sports, and Eddie, and now Jonathan Licht and Rob Webster, and they've made some fantastic decisions. And boxing is a huge part of Sky Sports life, and it's fantastic. And I think boxing has benefited from what Matchroom and Eddie have brought, alongside other promoters, of course. We're very, very happy with our relationship. We will look to renew it. We will look to probably sit down for proper negotiations very soon. But we talk about it all the time. You know, this isn't something that's sort of, you know, just going to suddenly spring up on us. You know, we talk about it all the time, and I'm very confident that we'll continue working with Matchroom because I think we're a fantastic partnership. We've got a terrific platform. You know, obviously on Sky we have all the different, you know, areas that we can dip into, from digital, social to Sky Sports News to Sky News to Sky One. You know, I think I saw, you know, Eddie on obviously on League of Their Own, a number of shows. You know, he's getting he's becoming more famous than anybody, isn't he, Eddie? But you know, it's I don't think he'll want to be leaving Sky or moving away from Sky. So we've got to make sure that the deal's right, and we will, and same with Anthony Joshua. You know, I think it's been a story where the three parties, you know, Team Joshua, you know, Team Matchroom and Team Sky have worked so well together for so many years. Why would we want to change that? I'm loving it, and I think they are too.
Adam, we'll leave it there and we'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you giving up some time again, and I'll see you tomorrow night at the Fite. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy.